unfortunately, especially when they get on this, I'm the good person, you're the bad person crap. And then it's like, oh, it doesn't matter that bill ended up being horrible. It doesn't matter that we got 10% inflation now. We meant well. That's what matters. We meant well. Well, no, that's not what matters. That's not what matters. What matters is that you shut the country down for 2 freaking years. You have people lost their lives. Suicides are way up. Drug addiction's way up. Depression, cancer screenings, nobody went. I mean, this was a disaster, and people act like barely anything happened. What was the big deal? You couldn't go to Applebee's for 2 years? Big deal, guys. It's like, no, man. People lost everything. There were cities that burnt to the freaking ground. People died. And everybody just wants to be like, well, we tried. Yeah, we were trying to do what was best. No, man. No, you guys got to answer. And that's the thing. What very, very roundabout way of circling back to Elon Musk. That's why they need to control the narrative at all times. They can't allow freedom of speech because it's an indictment. They know what they did was wrong. They know it, but they're this close to getting away with it. They're so close. Not to mention, by the way, what were we, $9 trillion, $8 trillion the government spent during COVID? What did you get, 1,200? I got $1,200. So somebody got that money, bro. Somebody got $9 trillion. This is the biggest theft. This is the biggest scam, the biggest thievery in the history of the world. They took not our money. They took generational wealth from the United States. They took our money, our kids' money, and our kids' kids' money. 3 generations of wealth. They destroyed the value of the dollar, and they took all of our earnings and put all of our future earnings and put it in their pocket. To the tune of $9 trillion. But no, we can't talk about that. They'll kick us off YouTube.
Insane. Yeah, it all got siphoned.
Nobody talks about it.
Yeah, insane.
Who's talking about it? Who on TV, these journalists, who's talking about, who's doing a forensic accounting of where that $8 trillion went? Trillion with a T, 8. And then they got the balls to tell people, oh, you got to pay your fair share. Taxes got to go up. We got to pay for COVID. Oh, you can't run the government on $8 trillion. Yeah, let's give you 10. I'm sure you'll figure it out. Whatever you need, blank check. What are we, nuts? We just talked about it with Twitter. It's a very, very, very loud minority that are pro bootlicking, essentially, right? Just shut up and do what the government tells you to do. Amazing, right? Amazing how with whether you stand with abortion or not. I'm one of the few people in America that couldn't care less one way or another about abortion. I just couldn't care.
Yeah.
Right. And everybody yelling at each other to me is just a moron on both sides. So but now my body, my choice. That's the argument you guys are going with after the last 2 years of shoving experimental shit in kids. You got to tell me my body, my choice. You gonna sit there with a straight face? Come on. But it's a very, very, very small minority of people. If you go out, it's funny, man. I was out with Mickey. We were out in Fort Lauderdale, and we were out with like a bunch of his fighting buddies, and we were downtown Fort Lauderdale, and it was black people, white people, Spanish people, good-looking girls, the whole the diversity was crazy. Everybody's partying with each other. Everybody's dancing with each other. Everybody's hanging out. If you're watching the news, if you're watching CNN, the Young Turks, Fox News, you would think that this country was buckled down on the brink of a war, that the races just can't get along. People are going crazy. Nobody can eat. The shelves are empty. And then you go out there in real life and you're like, yeah, this is pretty cool. Like, everybody's having a good time. Like, everything's pretty fun down here. They are trying to manufacture the chaos. They are trying to manufacture the conflict so badly. They are trying to divide and conquer on every single level. And if we just all turned the TV off and lived in the real world for a week and then turned the TV back on, everybody would recognize, oh, they're completely full of it, man. They are so full of it. This is outrage porn. They're just out there. They need the blood. They need the blood. Bad news is all the news that sells. If there's no blood, no chaos, then they don't have a business, right? So the unfortunate thing becomes, okay, where's the impetus for this? Where's this coming from? Well, and if we ask those questions, if we endeavor to ask those questions and say, like you said, like, okay, this is my upbringing. I know when totalitarianism is creeping in, from the anecdotal evidence my family members have told me, forget history lessons, forget books, from people that have lived in it, all right? And I trust their analysis because of their lived experience. But then you got some middle-class white girl goes to college for, goes to community college for 2 years, and all of a sudden wants to extol the greatness of communism. Like, you don't know what you're talking about. Like, your parents have no clue what they went through. Okay, so then you have to say to yourself, well, if lived experience and common sense are on this side of the aisle, and then education, somebody who's been educated ends up on this side of the aisle, well, what's the gap there? Well, the gap is this person's being brainwashed. So if sending your kids to school is akin now to getting them propagandized, and I mean, there's certain schools you send your kid to an Ivy League school, you're sending them to be educated by extremists now. And I say that with no hyperbole. And I say that there's no way that they can say that I was libeling them. You go to Yale, you go to Harvard, you go to these schools that are supposed to be the most prestigious schools amongst us, and these people are coming out as extremists. This woke ideology is taking on a religious extremism, wherein, even AOC, if you listen to AOC, she'll say it out loud. She'll say something to the effect of, I don't want to misquote her, but it was, as I remember, it was something to the effect of, too many people are concerned with being factually right instead of morally right. And it's like, wait a minute, man. You're not telling a story. You're not a storyteller. You're not an artist. You're not a singer. You're not a songwriter. You're not here to evoke emotion, AOC. You're here to govern. The facts should freaking matter to you more than anything else. But yet you're here to tell us, oh no, it's not about who's factually right. It's about who's morally correct. No, unfortunately,